Hey, Shalom, 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 Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Barakatah. Before I get this lesson started, I want to give all praise and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Barakatah, and double honor to the elders and the apostles of the great millstone, of whom I learned from, and a Shalom to the 144,000 chosen, taking this truth to the four corners of the earth, the hopeful elect, bidding the elect spirits of Yahshua to the marriage supper of the Lamb. This is your brother Adah. With a message to the hopeful elect. We are to take on the posture of the comely woman, right? We are likened unto a comely woman, and we went astray. We went off and became a whorish woman, committing adultery against the Most High, refusing to repent. Let me see if I can. Here, let's just do Jeremiah real quick. I believe it's in Jeremiah 44. Just to get it real quick, I swear by my great name that I will remove. Yeah, okay, so this whole story, you're going to want to read the whole chapter, but this is just I'm just paraphrasing. I'm putting some pieces of stuff together because I'm going to be using the book of Judith and Esther, the book of Esther, or the remaining parts of Esther out of the Apocrypha. Who else? Maybe even some Susanna. Using these women in Scripture, because they're what? They're real women who were either wives or widows, and all of that. The wife, the widow, the virgin, the bride, these are all similitudes. These are all types and shadows of what the elect is to be, what the elect was and is being returned to through the mercy and the blood of Yahushua, the grace, and being washed off in the Spirit, washing off in this doctrine, learning the new song, being washed in the water of the Word. We're making ourselves white and we're becoming virgins again. So, and there's a lot happening right now in the earth, right? So Jeremiah 44:26. Therefore, hear ye the word of Yahweh, all Judah. And this is not isolating the northern kingdom. This is the head tribe Judah, which means all 12 tribes. Okay? All Judah that dwell in the land of Egypt, and we are now in America, the second Egypt. Behold, I have sworn by my great name, saith Yahweh, that my name shall no more be named in the mouth of any man in Judah and all of the land of Egypt, saying, the Lord thy God liveth. Why? We refused to stop offering drink offerings to the Queen of Heaven. We were committing adultery. This is just one record of many of our imperious adulteries that we provoked Yahweh to wrath, which eventually led to the divorce. And this precept in prophecy right here, it was declared during the time of Jeremiah, but it was manifested after 70 AD when the name of Yahushua and the name of Yahweh was finally taken out of the earth. Because we were overcome, our enemies were able to, they were able to get a hold of our scrolls, and then they were able to cover the name of Yahweh. They were able to cover up the name. They were able to eventually cover up the whole faces of the judges, which goes into the Job 9:24. That includes the name. And so here we are now, Ezekiel 37. We're being woke up. The breath is being breathed on us, and we're coming into the understanding, the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of Yahweh Bahashim Yahushai, which is connected to his 100% truth, which is the new song. And we are learning that from the elders and the apostles of the great millstone. And as we are in connection with them, we are also learning as we read, right? So this is the situation that we're in. We're being restored, right? And we have enemies. We are realizing now, I'm saying that to say this, when you wake up, you realize for the first time in your existence, we as Hebrew Israelites have enemies. We have enemies. And this goes all the way back. As long as you read the records, of the scriptures, okay? We have enemies, man. Where can I start? Where do I want to start? Let's go. Let's just look at some of this stuff. Okay? Let's see if this pulls up without a stupid fucking app always wants to advertise a damn commercial of a video game when I pull up. So here we have the book of Judith, right? It's a very powerful book, you guys. Let's go. This is, I want to read. I want to find. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on real quick, I'll be right back. So okay, I was in the chapter, I didn't realize. So Judith chapter 5, this is a record. Remember, all the precepts, all the prophecies, all the books, the scrolls, this is our history. The Apocrypha, including the Bible, is the history, the record of the nation of Israel, okay? And Judith chapter 5 goes in to, at one time in the earth, how all the heathen nations knew. There were people within the heathen nations that understood that if we were walking correctly with our God, nobody could come against us in battle. And this goes all the way back to Egypt with Moses and Pharaoh, and then all of Joshua kicking everybody's ass, throughout the lands. It being found out that as long as the children of Israel were in obedience and correct standing with Yahweh of hosts, no matter how big the army was, it didn't matter. You were going to lose if they were in right standing with their power. This dude, starting in verse 5 of chapter 5, Achior, he's a captain in the Babylonian army, and he's an Ammonite. And he goes in, all this right here is the history of us. He's explaining how and all he's doing is he's just telling the Babylonians, look, before you step to these guys, make sure their position. He's speaking from a wise strategic position, which I remember when I first read this, how my spirit just lit up. I was like, oh my God, the fucking heathen know. And they know how to weaponize this. They understand how to weaponize disobedience tailored to the Hebrew Israelites who don't fully understand their law or their power or the name of their power nowadays, because they have perfected the information written here in chapter 5. So look, I'm going to read some of it. Then said Achor, the captain of the sons of Ammon, let my Lord now hear a word from the mouth of thy servant, and I will declare unto thee the truth concerning this people, talking about the Israelites, which dwelleth near thee, and inhabiteth the hill countries, and there shall no lie come out of the mouth of thy servant. This people are descendant of the Chaldeans, and they sojourned heretofore in Mesopotamia, because they would not follow the gods of their fathers, which were in the land of Chaldea. For they left the way of their ancestors and worshipped the God of heaven, the God whom they knew. Talking about Abraham. And so they cast them out from the face of their gods, and they fled into Mesopotamia and sojourned there many days. Then their God commanded them to depart from the place where they sojourned and to go into the land of Canaan, where they dwelt and were increased with gold and silver, with very much cattle. But when a famine covered all the land of Canaan, they went down into Egypt and sojourned there, while they were nourished and became there a great multitude. Talking about when Joseph and Jacob and the 70 that were with him, remember, and so he's paraphrasing everything. He's paraphrasing our history, and became there a great multitude, so that one could not number the nation. Therefore the king of Egypt rose up against them. That's when the slavery started, and dealt subtly with them, and brought them low with laboring and brick, and made them slaves. See, this is history that other nations knew about us. Okay, and we knew ourselves. This is before we were made to forget who we were, you guys. This is huge. Strongly suggest those of you who are not familiar with this, you got to read this whole book. Then they cried unto their power, and he smote all the land of Egypt with incurable plagues, so that the Egyptians cast them out of their sight. And the power dried the Red Sea before them, and brought them to Mount Sinai and Kadesh Barnea, and cast forth all that dwelt in the wilderness. So they dwelt in the land of the Amorites, and they destroyed by their strength all the Esebon, and passing over Jordan, they possessed all the hill country, and they cast forth before them the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, and the Shechemites, and all the Girgasites, and they dwelt in that country many days. And whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hated iniquity was with them. This is powerful. You have to understand that the elites of all the other nations understand this about Yahweh B'Hashem Yahweh Shai concerning you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. And many of those of you who don't look like blacks, Latinos, are Native Americans, because we've been scattered to the four corners of the earth, and many of our seed looks like the heathen nations. You need to understand, at a high point amongst the elites, they understand verse 17. You need to understand verse 17. Okay? Our power, our God is the God who hates iniquity. No one else on the planet Earth serves this God. Christianity, Renaissance, Western Christianity, is an invention, is a wicked creation that came many, many, many centuries after this understanding that was in the earth. They were able to develop this strategy only after 70 AD, when we all went into captivity, and then we fulfilled the prophecy that we would discontinue from our heritage, which means what? We would spiritually have amnesia. We wouldn't know who the fuck we were, which involves you got to be in slavery for a long enough time for that to happen. And so verse 17, you can say, and whilst they sinned not before their God, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. You need to understand that this is a major strategy and a portion of the foundation in all the secret societies, that they understand that we got to keep them from understanding that their God is the God that hates iniquity. This is why they raise our people up on television to promote so much sin. It's a strategy to keep verse 17 away from our people, away from us. Okay, you got to understand that. Verse 18, but when they departed from the way which he appointed them, they were destroyed in many battles. Dude, verse 17 and verse 18 is the kryptonite. You know how kryptonite makes Superman weak? That's his weakness. Verse 17 and 18 is the what do you call it? They have made a we go into Psalms 80, Psalms 81, Psalms 83. I mean, they have come up with Psalms 83. Look at this. God damn it, man! Fucking 4th of July bullshit. What the fuck? It's 4th of July tonight, so figured I'd do a lesson. Psalms 83. Look at this. This is our record, right? A prophecy of Asaph, a psalm of Asaph. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O power. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult. What's the tumult? It's an uproar. It's a bunch of men just bubbling. They're talking and talking and talking. But what's the tumult? How can we overthrow? How can we overcome the nation whose God hates iniquity, so we can have our way on the earth? You know how it says these two witnesses tormented us, and we've overcome them. It's talking about the northern southern kingdom. Okay, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee lift up thy head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. What's the crafty counsel? How to weaponize verses 17 and 18, you guys. I'm going to read it again. And whilst they sinned not before their power, they prospered, because the God that hateth iniquity was with them. But when they departed from the way which he appointed unto them, they were destroyed in many battles, very sore, and were led captive into a land that was not theirs. And the temple of their power was cast to the ground, and their cities were taken by the enemies. You need to understand that right here, 17 and 18, is what they're talking about here in Psalms 83. They have verse 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Okay, can you see that? Now, for the sake of time, I'm gonna run to some TikTok videos, because this is I'm gonna try to teach or do a couple lessons on this topic, because it's pretty deep, and I found some really good stuff in the Book of Esther and in the prayers in Judith that we have to develop as an attitude right now, because it's getting crazy.
4 black men hanging from trees in 1 week is not a coincidence. It's not an accident. It is not an incident. The fact that all 4 cases have said no foul play and then just close the cases. Like, at this point, all marginalized communities need to round the wagons. Like, do not go out alone. Do not go running alone. Do not.
Remember, we have enemies. Okay? We have enemies, you guys. We have enemies. We have enemies.
Go shopping alone. Like, some people are like, stop just like...
Not enough people are talking about this. There was a Hispanic man found hanging in Aurora, Colorado, and
There goes your northern and southern kingdom together. This is not, you need to understand, these types of lynchings, they can only be done by the authority. Somehow police officers are somehow stopping these guys, because random civilians can't do this. It's just, it would be too sloppy. There would be resistance. So it's police officers that are somehow stopping these guys. Oh, I got to write you a ticket, and then probably knocking them out, arresting them, and then driving them somewhere where they can fucking really subdue the person, knock them out, and then fucking put them up in a tree. Whatever the method is, but it's connected. It's connected to what? 17 and 18 of Judith, the higher elites understanding this, and then the weaponizing. They have taken crafty counsel against thy hidden people, against thy people, and against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. This playbook, this strategy, it is in their records. The reason why it seems so foreign to us is because we're all just waking up right now, realizing this whole time we've had a fucking premeditating fucking enemy. It isn't racism. This is prophetic war. It's biblical. It's been going on since we were a nation, you guys. Racism indicates that it's a bad behavior that can be unlearned through education. When if you read the scriptures, all it is, I gotta put on the do not disturb. All it is Israel fighting other nations of people. That's what it's always been a war. It's always been a war.
Mar Park. They found him hanging. He was lynched in Colorado. This is crazy, and not enough news sources are speaking on this. Why was he lynched? Like, I need
reason to directly connect these two stories. These are two unrelated stories.
And I know you guys have heard a lot about this. I'm just going to let this play a little bit. Why are they loading up the Northern Kingdom on cargo planes that you can't even fit that many people on there? These are made for dropping off like big old crates that have parachutes attached to them. And if men are going on these planes, they always have parachutes. Why? Because it's made to drop you out of the sky. It's not made to... These planes are not even designed to carry people. They're made to carry and drop. That's their whole point. And so for them showing this to us, this is all psychological. They're making a statement.
Well, another man was found dead, hanging in a tree, this time in Aurora, Colorado. Yesterday, June 27th, 2025, a Hispanic man was found hanging in a tree at Mill Creek Park. After being notified that the body was there, the police took only a couple hours to determine that it was a suicide before...
And we don't kill ourselves like that. It's all bullshit.
Please do not scroll, as I'm about to share with you a very disgusting pattern. Jonah Lubrin, Orlando, Florida, found nearly naked and hanging from a tree, ruled a suicide. Denoris Richardson, Colbert County, Alabama, found hanging from a tree, ruled a suicide. Lennon Lacey, Bladenboro, North Carolina, found hanging from a tree, ruled a suicide. Robert Fuller and Malcolm Harsh, both found dead in the state of California, hanging from trees, and ruled a suicide. And now most
hold on. Oh, wait.
recently, Earl Smith, Albany, New York, found hanging from a tree and ruled a suicide. Those
all ruled suicide, all ruled by the same system, all murdered by the same group of people in different places. Why? We have enemies, for they have made atonement, right? Verse 3, for they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may no more be in remembrance. I deleted it. Hold on really quick. Hold on. All right, so I just recently got my, I had just recently deleted it. I don't know why, and now I need it. There was a police car at the place where I was getting I do fire extinguishers, so every once a year we have to get recertified by the state, and we go to this campus where there's a lot of police, a lot of detectives, a lot of EMTs, and they're all getting their things done, and they're getting our status. Well, they have an old fashioned police car in one of the buildings, and it had that. If you look up in the top right, there's that 5-pointed star. Well, one of the circles was missing on the police star, and I was like, oh, that's just like how it is. That's actually the real way. If you look at the way it's done in Washington, if you go into Washington, the pentagram in Washington DC. Let me see. Okay, yeah. And if you look at it, it's missing. If you look at number 6, it's actually missing a piece. That's the real. That and it means something. That missing piece actually means something in those who understand how this stuff is, how you do this kind of shit. And if you look at all the police, you see all that stuff. If you look at all the police in America, they have this symbol on their fucking, either on their hat or on their badges. And then when you look at the pentagram, how it was set up, the pentagram in Washington DC, you see what we're dealing with? This is the race of people that are ruling over us. And this is the shit that they're fucking into. And this is the shit they do. The layout of these streets, this was done in the 1800s, you guys. This was done when fucking George Washington and another Freemason white dude did this shit. They were operating in left-handed occultic fucking knowledge, man, when they set this country up. Okay? And it's the police, right? And the government that they impose all these laws on us, right? And we know now that we have fucking enemies.
6 names.
I tracked a whole week of military flights, and I think a lot of them are connected to the deportations that we've been seeing. I had an entire week, and I started making a spreadsheet out of it. I made one day into the screenshots, and I got so overwhelmed and saw such a pattern that I had to stop. So I want to show you.
And remember, when we see low-level Edomites pointing out the wickedness of the upper level Edomites, it's one of two possibilities. She is either a Jake, she is either a speckled bird, she's an Israelite girl that looks like an Edomite because her spirit is being pulled into this, right? Or she is a fulfillment of prophecy, which is what? It's the tongues, their own tongues falling upon themselves. It's one of those two conclusions. She's either an Edomite whose tongue is falling upon herself, their own tongues shall fall upon us in Psalm 64:8. So they shall make their own tongues to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. This is a fulfillment of prophecy. Let's go back one. But God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their tongues to fall upon themselves. The Most High, he declares unto man what is his thoughts. He orders the thoughts of everyone. Okay? I got to move up here to get some... I'm going to get some gas real quick as I'm talking to you guys. I'm in a parking lot over here at Kroger. And my gas gauge is on super E, so... And I got my engine running, so I'm going to freaking go over here and get some gas while I'm finishing up this lesson. But so she's either a fulfillment of this, because you guys have to understand, just because you see someone that looks like a white person doesn't mean they're an Edomite, and if you see a so-called Edomite that's got 2 seconds of the ability to fucking stick up for something that's wrong, it doesn't mean that that's a good Edomite. They're just fulfilling this. You got to understand this. The Most High is sovereign. He controls everything. Because sometimes people will try to use, you know, that as an excuse to go back in. Well, can they be saved? Why? Because for 2 seconds they said something that was bad. They admitted that something was bad. You want to give them all that credit? You can't do that. It's crazy. So, hold on real quick. Let me go back to that girl's video.
The spreadsheet that I made, and like I said, I want to share the screenshots later, but there's literally hundreds of them, and I don't even know where to start with all of that. I don't know if I should make a separate video with just 1 or 2 of the screenshots. I don't know which ones to prioritize or which ones mean the most, but I want to show y'all now. I want to keep doing this, but I did tags for sketchy things that they did, if they're military, if they're sus, if they looped a lot, if they were weird, if they just vanished off radar. And then I also tracked which branch was flying the planes, and then the dates and the times, and then what types of plane they are, what their numbers are, what their call sign was, where they departed from, what their destination was, or where they were last seen when they disappeared, and then any kind of notes that I had. And then if they were sus, why they were sus. I'm sorry, I'm shaking so bad right now. But, like, I can't stop thinking about all of this and that video that I just made for y'all, showing the fact that that one man, showed that they're... fuck, I can't even get my thoughts behind me right now. I want to cry so bad. But the man who was showing the planes that they're loading these shackled up immigrants into look exactly like the types of planes that they used in the dirty war in Argentina to shackle and drug people and then drop them into the fucking ocean. And I think we are seeing that again.
So it's the same play that Esau used in another war that wasn't even published years back, but now came out through this situation on TikTok. Even the elder Malcolm said he was unfamiliar with that war. So we can see that Esau's being exposed for what he is, but we were also warned by the prophets that this was going to start happening, right?
4 black men being hung in America in a week. Case is closed. No foul play. The police did it. The police are unaliving and hanging black men from trees in the South. Nobody can convince me that it...
Okay, you've seen enough. Now, I wanted to get more on the, let me see. I'm going to hit pause. Let me see if I can find something on Trump real quick. Because you guys see what's happening with Trump and all this other shit too. Hold on real fast. I'll be right back.
What just happened that should be screaming across every headline? The Trump administration just issued a memo to the Department of Justice telling them to start prioritizing civil denaturalization. And that means revoking citizenship from naturalized Americans, people who became citizens legally, if the government believes that they got that citizenship fraudulently or pose a security threat. And sure, the memo claims that this is only for the worst of the worst, like war criminals, terrorists, gang members. It has been done historically, and that's...
But we know that that's a lie, right?
Okay, so I'm in Spain right now. I'm in Madrid. And even though I'm miles and miles away from the United States, the idea of birthright citizenship, what it means, its significance, why it's such a constitutional, sacred right in the United States, all of that carries a lot of weight in a country like Spain, no? Because from here, from afar, you really understand the ties, no, to colonialism. If you take a step back, you see how, despite what Donald Trump wants you to think, you understand that almost every single country in the Western Hemisphere, no, including the United States, has birthright citizenship. Why? Well, the idea of citizenship being defined by land and territory and not by blood or lineage or race that is an idea and a concept that Latin American countries fought for, not to try and dismantle and undo the social and hierarchical caste system that the Spanish Empire implemented throughout the Americas. So that is that was of course a personal fight throughout the Western Hemisphere. In 1814, for example, Mexico becomes one of the first countries to try and write birthright citizenship into its constitution. This was during the Mexican War of Independence. Now, in 1868, the United States arrives to birthright citizenship, of course, in a different way, through a different type of history, but for very similar reasons. The reason being, the 14th Amendment becomes yet another attempt to try and break the United States' dark past and its dark past of slavery.
The United States being the so-called white man. What's the underlying theme in all these videos? It's the so-called fucking white man oppressing the Israelites. So-called black and brown people, the northern and southern kingdom. There's a ton more videos to go into. I gotta shorten it for sake of time. Now I want to attempt to go into the scriptures. Okay, let me try to go into the scriptures. Let's find. Let's go here. So this guy breaks down, right? The captain, Achior. He's a captain, so he has authority, and he's wise. He knows what he's doing. He wouldn't have been given that position if he didn't know what he's doing. So in his position of wisdom, he's telling these guys, look, with this particular nation of people, you're going to want to make sure. So this dude was actually giving them good advice, but their pride was their downfall. They get offended because in this whole chapter right here, he's breaking down how they whooped everyone's ass, right? When they were right with their power, but in 17 and 18, that was the what do you call it? That was the piece of information they didn't pay attention to. He said in 18, if and when they would transgress against their power, they would lose the battle. So from 18, we see the progression of understanding in the minds of the heathen and the wicked, where they realize if we can get these guys to sin and get them to sin long enough, they will be weakened. Yahweh will turn his back on them. We can take them out, and then we can do what we want on the earth. And now you see the rulership of Esau, and all you see is our people on television, hip-hop music, fucking movies, Tyler Perry running around in a goddamn dress all the time. All you see is our people. If and when they get on television, they got to make a covenant with death. They got to be a Boule Freemasonic member. If they're an athlete, they got to do the same thing. They do those hand signals, those Baphomet hand signals, letting you know that they're a part of that secret crap. And how do they act on television? They act out in a certain way that helps socially engineer the minds of our people away from the Most High. Okay? So, anyway, so we get to, he tells them all this stuff. They get pissed off at him. They beat his ass. They send him up the hill to the Hebrew Israelites, and they say, we're going to come and kill them and kill you. So he tells them, he tells the Israelites what's going to happen. Well, everything gets back to the men. And I believe how this story starts is we're just coming out of captivity. So we're not sure if the Most High is ready to completely protect us or not. So they're ready to give up in about 5 days. And when Judith hears about it, she's a widow. Let me see. She's a widow. Now at the time, Judith heard thereof, which was the daughter of, it gives her lineage. And Manasseh was her husband of her tribe and kindred. She's from Simeon, right? She would be a Dominican. So we know that the Dominicans are very attractive people. She's a very beautiful woman, right? So but Judith she's multiple types and shadows. She's a type and shadow of the bride. You guys, I want to suggest that she's also a type and shadow of Yahushai. And what do I mean by that? Yahushai in the Song of Solomon, when King Solomon writes the Song of Solomon, King Solomon's person, the person of King Solomon in the Song of Solomon is not Solomon. That's the Most High. And the Shunammite girl, the fairest among women, that girl, that is King Solomon or Yahweh Shai, and the virgins and the queens and the concubines, that's talking about your hopeful elect. It's very deep. So when you see here in Judith, this is Judith, right? She's got a lot of wisdom and she carries herself very wisely. She gives the men some advice, and the Most High is raising her up. She's going to be used as the salvation for Israel. He's going to use her, right? So it gives you an idea of who she is. Let me see if I'll start from verse 2. And Manasseh was her husband of her tribe and kindred, who died in the barley harvest. For as he stood overseeing them that bound sheaves in the field, the heat came upon his head, and he fell on his bed and died in the city of Bethulia. And they buried him with his fathers in the field between Dothim and Belamo. So Judith was a widow in her house 3 years and 4 months, and she made her a tent upon the top of her house, and put on sackcloth, upon her loins, and wear her widow's apparel. And that's what we are right now. We're like a widow, And she fasted all the days of her widowhood, save the eves of the Sabbaths, and the Sabbaths, and the eves of the new moons, and the new moons, and the feasts and solemn days of the house of Yasharallah. She was also of a goodly countenance, and very beautiful to behold. I want you to understand that the goodly countenance is not just talking about her physical beauty, it's talking about the wisdom that she was walking in. She had wisdom, you guys, which is what? A type and shadow of the elect today, who is likened unto a comely woman. And her husband Manasseh had left her gold and silver, right? And men servants and maid servants. I'm gonna run down fast. Then she went with her waiting women, and they came unto her, and she said unto her, "Hear me now, ye governor." So she's speaking. Look, this is unusual. This is a widow woman who is speaking to the leadership of the men of Israel, and because of her wisdom and because of her reputation, they listened to her, and they came under her, and she said unto them, "Hear me now, O ye governors of the inhabitants of Bethulia, to your words that ye have spoken before the people this day are not right, touching this oath which he made and pronounced between the power and you, and have promised to deliver the city to our enemies, unless within 3 days the Lord turn to help you. And now, who are ye that have tempted God this day, and stand instead of the power among the children of men? And now try the Lord Almighty, but ye shall never know anything, for ye cannot find the depths of the heart of man, neither can ye perceive the things that he thinketh. Then how can ye search out power that hath made all these things, and know his mind, or comprehend his purpose? Nay, my brethren, provoke not the Lord our power to anger, for if he will not help us within these 5 days, he hath power to defend us when he will, even every day, or to destroy us before enemies. Do not bind the counsel of the Lord our power, for God is not a man that he may be threatened, neither is he as the Son of Man that he should be wavering. Therefore let us wait for our salvation of him, and call upon him to help us, and he will hear our voice, if it please him. For there arose none in our age, neither is there any now in these days, neither tribe nor family, nor people, nor city among us, which worship gods made with hands, hath been aforetime. For the which cause our fathers were given to the sword, and for a spoil, and had a great fall before enemies. So she's acknowledging when and if we did fall, it was because we were going off by committing adulteries, right? By worshiping other gods. But we know none other God. We know none other power. Therefore we trust that he will not despise us, nor any of our nation. For if we be taken so, all Judea shall lie waste, and our sanctuary shall be spoiled, and he will require the profanation thereof at our mouth. And the slaughter of our brethren, and the captivity of the country, and the desolation of our inheritance, will he turn upon our heads among the Gentiles, whatsoever we shall be in bondage. And we shall be an offense and a reproach to all them that possess us. For our servitude shall not be directed to favor, but the Lord our power shall turn it to his dishonor. Now therefore, O brethren, let us show an example to our brethren, because their hearts depend upon us, and the sanctuary and the house and the altar rest upon us. Moreover, let us give thanks to the Lord our God, which trieth us, even as he did our fathers. Remember what things he did to Abraham, and how he tried Isaac, and what happened to Jacob in Mesopotamia of Syria, when he kept the sheep of Laban his mother's brother. For he hath not tried us in the fire, as he did them, for the examination of their hearts, neither hath he taken vengeance on us, but the Lord doth scourge them that come near unto him, to admonish him. Now here you have this woman, and what did she just do? She just listed a whole bunch of elder men who are right with the Most High. So this is a type and shadow of the elect, you guys. You got to see it like this, okay? Now let me pause it really fast, because I got to end it with the prayer, and I'll be done. Okay, so the next verse over, the next chapter over, she says a prayer. Listen to this prayer. And this is part of the prayer that we got to start praying, you guys, now in this season. There's also a prayer that Esther does. I'm going to do another lesson on Esther right after this one. These are the prayers that we got to start praying. We got to start crying out to the Most High concerning the times that we are in. So, O Lord God of my father Simeon, to whom thou gavest a sword to take vengeance of the strangers, who loosened the girdle of a maid. This is very key. Remember this. Talking about Dinah, who loosened the girdle of a maid to defile her, and discovered the thigh to her shame, and polluted her virginity to her reproach. For thou saidst, it shall not be so, and yet they did so. Wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain, because they touched the daughter of Jerusalem, or Israel. The Most High allowed the men in that country to be slain. Wherefore thou gavest their rulers to be slain, so that they dyed their beds. They dyed their bed in blood, being deceived, and smotest the servants with their lords, and the lords upon their thrones, and hast given their wives to a prey, and their daughters to be captives, and all their spoils to be divided among thy dear children, which were moved with zeal, and abhorred the pollution of their blood, and called upon thee for aid, O power, O my God, hear me also, and a widow. Because that's what we're in the state of being a widow right now. We don't have an army. We don't have a husband yet, you guys. We are in process of getting remarried to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai. We're under the blood of Yahushai. We are in process we're being made virgins again, but we're not the wife yet. We are Hopefull elect. We are a widow. For thou hast wrought not only those things, but also the things which fell out before, and which ensued after. Thou hast thought upon the things which are now, and which are to come. Yea, what things thou didst determine were ready at hand, and said, Lo, we are here, for all thy ways are prepared, and thy judgments are in thy foreknowledge. For behold, the Assyrians, for behold, Trump, the Edomites, the wicked elite, the police, the military, the Chaldeans, the glory of the Chaldeans' beauty, the left-hand powers, Esau, who is thy sword, the one who has the power to kill, a so-called fucking white man, has multiplied in their power. Verse 7 is all about what Esau is doing now, right now as we speak. All this shit.
To try and reach this.
Okay, so here's what just happened.
So breaking news.
All this.
If black kids are angry, it's because we poison their brains.
She goes into how they did lead. She's actually not being a smartass. It's too long to play. But she goes into the fucking amount of effort of lead poisoning that they have put in all the fucking pipes, and the data that is recorded in the Edomites' recordings, how they know that the fucking lead has affected the inner city's minds. That they know this shit. Dude, it's fucking crazy.
4 black men being hung.
I tracked a whole week of military flights, and
Please do not scroll, as I'm about to share with you a very disgusting pattern. Yona Lubrin, Orlando, Florida, found nearly naked and hanging from a tree. Ruled a suicide. Denoris Richardson.
Well, another man was found dead.
I want to be very clear that I've
Not enough people are talking about this.
It just needs to be said very clear that 4 black men hanging from trees in 1 week is not a coincidence.
Okay, now. So for behold, the Assyrians, the Edomites, are multiplied in their power. They are exalted with horse and man. What's that mean? That's all the law, the media, the armies, the provisions. I think Trump is trying to get where they're going to get billions of dollars for ICE. That's what this is, you guys. They glory in the strength of their footmen. They trust in shield and spear and bow and sling, and know not that thou art the Lord that breakest the battle. The Lord is thy name. Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai is thy name. Throw down their strength in thy power, and bring down their force in thy wrath, for they have purpose to defile the sanctuary. You guys, they wanted to defile us with the mark of the beast. They wanted to defile us with their food. They wanted to defile us with their doctrine. They wanted to defile us with trusting in their lies. You got to understand this. This is a strategy. And we are now that sanctuary. We are that temple. Our bodies are that temple. For they have purpose to defile the sanctuary and to pollute the tabernacle where thy glorious name resteth. Where is his name in the future, which is today, on the elect, on their foreheads, you guys? Revelations 14. His holy name is in our minds, along with his doctrine, and to pollute the tabernacle where thy glorious name resteth, and to cast down with sword the horn of thy altar. Behold their pride, and send thy wrath upon their heads. Give into mine hand, which am a widow. That's our attitude, because we are still hopeful elect. We're hoping to be remarried to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, by the blood of Yahushai. The power that I have conceived, smite by the deceit of my lips, the servant with the prince, and the prince with the servant. Break down their stateliness by the hand of a woman. Well, in this case, who is this woman? The daughter of Zion, the elect men of Israel, you guys, a comely woman. For thy power standeth not in the multitude, nor thy might in strong men. For thou art the power of the afflicted, and helper of the oppressed, an upholder of the weak, a protector of the forlorn. And that forlorn goes into forsaken, I believe. I have it somewhere. A savior of them that are without hope. Hold up, let's look it up. I have it somewhere. Let me see. Where are you, forlorn? I looked it up the other day. Let's see. Where you at? Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Nope. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun. Dun dun. I can't find it. For the power standeth not in multitude, nor thy might in strong men. For thou art a God of the afflicted, and helper of the oppressed, and upholder of the weak, a protector of the forlorn, a survivor, a savior of them that are without hope. I pray thee, O power of my Father, and power of the inheritance of Israel, Lord of the heavens and earth, creator of the waters, King of every creature, hear thou my prayer, and make my speech and deceit to be their wound and stripe, who have purposed cruel things against thy covenant and thy hallowed house, and against the top of Zion, and against the house of the possession of thy children. This is a very governmental type, rulership type prayer for salvation. And make every nation and tribe to acknowledge that thou art the power of all powers and might, and that there is none other that protecteth the people of Israel but thou. I need to work on this more. I got another lesson I want to do with Esther. It's very similar. But this is the attitude that we have to have. This prayer, this attitude, you guys, concerning everything that's happening from this moment forward, man. We're about to enter into Jacob's trouble. I pray that this was edifying. I want to give all glory and power to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai by Hashem Rakadash. Double honors to the elders, the apostles, the great millstone of whom I learned from. Shalom. To the 144,000 chosen, hopefully elect brothers taking this truth to the four corners of the earth, bidding the elect spirits to the marriage supper of the Lamb, who is Yahweh Shai. This is your brother Adah Shalom.